Now available, the highly anticipated new album, Illuminate by Karma Coda, featuring the hit single, Turn. And 11 other new tracks. The new album, Illuminate by Karma Coda, is available at iTunes, Amazon.com, and CDBaby.com. Visit them at MySpace or KarmaCoda.com for more information. Karma Coda, Illuminate.
This is the One Up Radio Network, and now GFW Radio.
Hello, and welcome to the GFW Radio podcast. I don't know what the day it is, so I'm not even going to bother trying.
Don't know.
It's the end of February podcast, 2007, and I'm here with the again reduced staff of GFW. Darren Gladstone still on his honeymoon. How much time did we give the guy?
Too much.
What kind of ship am I running here? It's like the second week out. Gladstone, get back here. We got a magazine to do. But I'm here with the other three guys who are as follows.
Ryan Scott.
Shawn Elliott. Sean Malloy.
Hello, fellows.
Hello. At the tone of the time will be.
So I want to start right off with Mr. Shawn Elliott had a fairly epic, well, it wasn't an epic weekend, but the reverberations carried out throughout the weekend of your appearance, your legendary appearance on One Up Yours. And I'm sure that probably some listeners are following you over here from that show.
Come to hate.
Because it was to hate you some more.
Yeah.
Because it was so epic. So I thought maybe we could just talk about that a little bit. If you didn't listen to it, Shawn was a special guest on One Up Yours, which is the network's kind of flagship podcast there that has Luke Smith, Garnet Lee, normally John Davidson, who was out this week, and Shane Bettenhausen. And Shawn was on, and they had what's his name? I'm sorry.
Mitch.
The fellow's name. Mitch.
Yeah.
From FASA to talk about Shadowrun. And you guys did a little bit of raking over the coals.
Got a little wild, yeah. I thought you were going to bring this up and accuse me of cheating on the cast here, of infidelity. But
there is that.
Well,
yeah.
I was waiting to bring up the damn...
Don't you love us?
Ryan and his Retronauts and you guys in your legendary thread.
We're all cheating on other podcasts.
I did it
Don't
because
we like each other?
I learned it by watching you.
Why are we all cheating? It's come to that.
Podcast
infidelity.
So we're spreading around. But I mean that's part of the fun though. I mean we're all on one floor up here. We're all basically in the same boat and working on different angles. I mean we take stories and they have life in different parts of the game group and stuff everyone's used to hearing with.
You know what sucked last week though was when Sean Malloy and I went straight from the WoWcast into this one.
Yeah, that's got to be rough.
Because I felt kind of spent.
It's got to be weird too because that's one thing I noticed over there is that like the what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? Not the dynamic, but the chemistry between us. You know.
Yeah.
It's just different. You have to get used to it. I was kind of quiet at first when I was on there instead of being the loudmouth nerd voice, whatever I usually am here. Just because getting to know how they handle things, getting used to their humor and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's easy and comfortable here. Not like us. Half the time I could forget that we're actually recording anything.
I know.
And I think I did eventually during that point, but it is
you
different.
You forgot right around the time that you farted on the podcast. That was about the
that's
time.
That's how far back I forgot that we actually had headsets on.
Shawn, you're not in your room by yourself.
No, that was cool.
Yourself.
I mean, it was definitely fun being on there. It got pretty wild. And I don't know what all there's to say about it. Mitch and Shadowrun. A quick rundown again on his game is it's a cross-platform FPS in the Shadow. Using characters and themes from the Shadowrun universe from the RPGs. Cross-platform meaning you can play it on Xbox 360 and on your PC.
Yeah, excuse me, but it's going to suck on PC, isn't it?
Right. And
sorry.
So, no, but it was like I had the whole thing is I had played it, the day prior before we met for the podcast, and I thought it was fun. But I ended up for a few reasons, as Mitch pointed out, one, they're having issues with changing the presets for the controller. I mean, for the mouse and keyboard, you couldn't choose mouse look speed. You couldn't alter it and stuff, and that's all very basic. It's really weird.
Right.
Like I think as a PC. Because controllers are the same everywhere, but PC is always different. When I go to and I play in anyone else's rig, it's like even the height of the chair can throw me off, or like the height of the keyboard. I mean, when you're really down to like competing in FPS. It sounds like the biggest like whiny bitch, like I didn't have my magic do-rag tucked in my back pocket or whatever, whatever kind of shit like that. But it really throws you off, but especially changing your look speed. And everyone's got theirs, and it's either really fast or somewhere slow where people make fun of them, but it like works for them. And so I wasn't able to change that, and I ended up, just having a hard time of it on there. And but I ended up playing on the controller a lot too, and I thought that was fine. It was like, hey, this is a great game, but it just seemed to me as if like top to bottom, it's been designed for preeminently for console play. Just but and I don't want to go over it all over again, but,
right?
But based on the movement speed and all the things that differentiate games on the first person shooters on the two platforms, and it's not just the interface, but it's the way that the game is put together to reflect that interface.
Well,
so,
I
like
thought you had some good
gravity and
questions.
stuff.
It just kind of got a little bit out of hand,
right
over there.
The other thing that I was concerned about too is just like depth of options for people that are hosting servers on the PC side and hosting games. I mean, you want to be able to do all these things, plugins. I mean, the fun stuff about Valve's FPSs, for example, and annoying, is that you could just do anything to them. I mean, you can tweak any variable. And it works in a much different way than for consoles, where you have like a list of options and you say, okay, we'll turn max kills to 28. I mean, you could set the gravity based on like, any variable with, you want between 1 and 100 or something. And, you put it on, and I say annoying because you start putting all the sound files. I mean, it's like at what point can you join like any source-based game and not have to load like an entire season's worth of Simpsons voices and like Beavis and Butthead sound clips before you can just go in and play a map that you've had for fucking 5 years, Anyway, I thought it was a fun game. There's got a lot of potential to it. And I hope, I'm sure we'll be hearing from Mitch and from Press again about Shadowrun. And he was a great guy. I think he was like, for the kind of, bring this back to the fact that we got a magazine here. He's an excellent candidate for the sorts of interviews that we do in print, with what we've labeled the GFW interview as the CGW interview prior to that, where it's not about presenting, your latest game, but about sort of assessing and reading your career in gaming. What have you done for games? What have games done for you? It sounds corny, actually, but just looking back on your career and seeing, what are the highlights and this and that, and how you define what's a game by this person that this person's involved in.
What we got to do is get like some real loser on who's had like no good hits whatsoever.
Yeah.
And just like rake them over the coals for 3 pages. What were you thinking?
We did versions of that. It was so weird. There's the whole what is it? The greatest game never made stories that we never really got any feedback on them. And I have this like sinking feeling that there's a whole lot of people out there that read them and think there's like actually a game called, what was the last one?
Adventure Quest?
Adventure Quest, and then Scorpion Slayer. So real quick for that is like they're just we take and make up these games that didn't exist and developers that didn't develop them, and they just epitomize like the worst of any given, or just like the most generic of any given genre. So action RPG just amounted to slaying scorpions, and Adventure Quest was just complete nonsense.
The satire, kids.
But so yeah, where are we going with this? We want to
I think
do
we're
a little,
trying to say that a little pimpage, which we never do on this podcast.
Right.
We never actually talk about the fact that we actually make a magazine. Since we feel like we probably have new listeners here, we want to remind them.
Mm-hmm. This could be our pledge. I mean, like this is our pledge drive.
This is our pledge. Yeah, we got Ryan Scott on the phones here.
He's on the. He's over there refreshing. He's got dig.com up, the podcast games and hobbies list. And he's refreshing the page. See, we got how many 16 digs now for our entire body of.
He's standing by on the refresh button.
So
you get a lovely T-shirt.
Yeah, it's been
coffee mug.
It's been working out well for us. I think attention on the
actually,
we've kind of like.
Actually, you won't. You're gonna get nothing. You'll get our magazine.
You get a magazine.
Oh yeah, you get the magazine.
Oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah. You subscribe and you get a magazine. Just show us you love us and you appreciate having us on the air with these wonderful stories. And subscribe to our magazine.
And then Ryan can go home.
Right. Yeah. But
you like hearing about Guild Wars, you like hearing about World of Warcraft, you like hearing about Crisis.
Wow. You listen to a lot of PBS. That was very well done. If you want to keep hearing these things that you love,
right,
you throw in your $20, $30, whatever. Every little bit helps.
Just don't send us below $20. Like there's always a cutoff line. Right. I'm always amazed. They start
don't even bother.
Send in $100. Like $100? For what?
Like 10? No, we don't want that.
So send us whatever. We can find you a good subscription for like $19.99.
You know what we got to do is make up some fake ones so to up the ante. So we just got $1,000 in from Mitch in Redwood City. Thank you.
Jared Thorbon just subscribed 68 times. He's got 68 subscriptions going to his house, which should paper the pens of his 800 birds.
Really like that Alone in the Dark preview.
Okay.
Anyway.
But the reason, I think it was fun to bring it up because we've been getting a lot more attention on the podcast, and I think being on One Up was great for us, too, because hopefully people even know we exist now.
It's kind of weird that, we've been doing this magazine for a long time.
And the rest of them say, like, screw
a long
those
time.
guys.
In some cases, like mine, a decade. Mm-hmm. And yet this podcast somehow, like, attracts more attention. You know what I think is the thing? I think print is dead.
It's scary and sad because you do
people that
as
Jeff's saying it. Oh no,
well, you want
that's going to be the Kotaku headline next week,
right?
Games for Windows editor says print is dead.
But I think I know where you're coming from. I hope you're joking.
I'm kidding,
right? But where you're coming from is like, you've been doing this for how many years?
10 years. I'm not kidding.
And have you ever felt you got as much attention from any given story or even a whole issue as you have from a single podcast?
No, that's what I'm saying. Is like the mail in our mailbox at work, the threads online are bigger than they are for what we do in our regular jobs in print. I mean, sometimes individual articles or columns or whatever would generate a decent amount of mail, but this is kind of overwhelming.
Right. And it's like, it makes me sad, too, because we come in here and just off the top of your head, ramble on some
prep for like 2 seconds,
right?
Yeah,
send out an email.
Got a 10-line email.
3:50 for our 4 p.m. podcast.
Like I spent all weekend, just agonizing over a cover story. We got a little announcement there, and on that, it's like, is anyone going to even do? Is it going to? Yeah, anyone going to notice it or whatever?
The most frustrating thing for me is in print when we because. We all try here at the staff to come up with articles that we're not going to read in the other magazines. The same old shit that we see all the time. That we do too.
Like Shawn was saying.
The bread and butter stuff. We all do it. But we'll come up with something really cool. We'll work very hard on it. Whoever's writing the story is like busting their ass for, days late at night. We'll get it in. We'll edit it. We'll be super proud of it. And then we won't get one email about it.
Right.
And it's like, God damn. And the only email comes in will be like, how come the screenshot in the in the Shadowrun preview shows the gun on the left side when the gun's supposed to be on the right? Like, that's the only email we get. It's like, God, why do we bother?
I noticed you had an extra period after the word horse.
Right, or spelling corrections. Right. Yeah.
And we do, I think it is worth pimping, especially to people who listen and don't read the magazine, because you will see people complaining about we want a level of depth and engagement and stories and in our writing about games that we're not finding. But every month, which is what I think we've been specializing in the section that I've been handling. I mean, I've made a point of chasing those sorts of stories for like over a year, almost 2 years now. Mm-hmm. And say, for example, an issue that's just coming out, there's the love-hate story, and I promise this will be the last time we do this. We're not going to come on next week.
Ourselves?
Yeah.
God, we're great.
I don't feel bad about doing it right now because I think looking around online, there are so many people that really don't realize what we put in the magazine every month.
And this is our pledge drive episode.
And this is our pledge drive episode.
We're loud.
Ryan's still standing by the way.
Love-hate. The cool thing about that is I just took, and all these sent feelers out to as many people in the industry that make games and are related to game making as possible, and said, you have as many words as you'd like to talk about some aspect or aspects of PC gaming that you love, and some that you hate. But the condition is, it's very simple. But the condition is we hate working deadlines and crunches. Where we're just giving 1 million hours away. The whole EA wife type stuff, or. No, I love the fact that I get to make games for a living. I mean, those were the conditions. Think about it.
We're to not do that.
Right. And so the email that I sent out would actually say, like, imagine this is you and your peers at the bars after the game developers concert. Concert.
Oh, the concert.
I know a lot about games, guys, about game development. And so what's keeping you awake at night? What are you guys talking about amongst yourselves? What are the big things that are on your mind? And we've got a lot of excellent feedback. I mean, Warren Spector is just huge. It's always huge for us. Completely love that guy's level of commitment to talking about his craft and what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just gave us a good,
He is great.
good deal of insight.
He's a quote machine.
Yeah. And several other people too were absolutely, fantastic in the way that they responded for that story. But we do that kind of thing, every issue, one issue after the other. The big story we did.
I'll pimp one other story from this current issue that you actually shepherded through too, which was the Confessions of a Hitman story. Shawn put together a story. Wait, you didn't write it, though,
Actually,
did you?
I did, yeah.
You did write
You
it.
did? Oh, I'm sorry. It was really good.
Mr. Editor-in-Chief.
Who wrote
Whatever,
that?
I just signed it. I'm like Colonel Blake on MASH. Yeah, here's your 2-week past result. Shawn put together the story where he interviewed a guy who apparently hires himself out to do online harassment of other players in online games.
In shooters especially.
Right.
Which is always interesting.
But his tactics were really
imagine.
funny because it wasn't just like being on the opposite team and targeting that person. It was actually being on the same team,
Right.
and messing with them,
Making life hell.
making life hell. So, but I thought that was a really interesting, culture of gaming story.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, and the whole reason I did that in the first place is because it's not stuff that's handed to us, I mean, part of my motto I've been repeating around here a lot is like, if PR gives you a story, it's not a story, it's PR. And
Yeah.
so, instead of Company X comes to, and no knock on them. I mean, they make what we do possible by giving us screens and giving us access to, all the great developers and stuff. But if it's a case of, they come to you this month and they're like, hey, we want this story and we want this many pages for it. And I mean, it's almost always a preview. At times they will say they'll package it in the form of a story or something.
Right.
It's just, it's our job. We got to chase these on our own.
Right.
Stories don't, sadly, they do end up writing themselves most of the time.
Actually,
But
I want to
shouldn't
throw in
write
a plug for, because I forgot to do it last week, and it's late, but it's probably a better late than ever, on the Gamers with Jobs podcast. That's gamerswithjobs.com. They had interviewed me for the length of the podcast, and we talked at great length about the preview process because they were really interested in finding out, how it is we deal with that kind of crap, with the PR machine and whether we respond to it, whether we actually do our journalistic job of, of coming up with our own stories or basically let the PR companies write them for us.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
I have to listen to
so
that.
there's a lot on there. And
That's
I
good
promised
that-
them I would plug it a week ago, and I forgot. So
I've
sorry, guys.
really, just to internal, I've had this pet story that one of our contributing editors, Matt Peckham, who's, you were talking about, you appreciate some of the stories I put together. This guy's a godsend. Every month he just does something just amazing for us. And we have this pet story where we do want to look into that exact subject. But the hard part for us, and this is kind of like first time you've heard of it, is pitching you on it, is that if we want to talk about, it's kind of up its own asshole, right? I mean, that topic. If you're going to talk about how it's a game magazine talking about how game magazines get written, it's like, how do you take and package that in a way that anyone gives a shit, But if you put it in the light of, okay, everyone who is an enthusiast in this, in this medium, gets their information from these outlets, and then all of these outlets are essentially funneling that information and operating in the same way, then I think that's one way that I'm looking at, that we can, that we have an angle on it, that we have some bite into it. The other is that, just how do developers themselves understand it? I mean, clearly they're going to appreciate, because PR does, and it's not a hostile type story that we're imagining,
Right.
where PR is just this big sort of barrier between the writers and the people that make the games, but how they see and how PR people themselves see what they do, and how ultimately it's beneficial for a lot of people, but at the same time where that breaks down and where things can go wrong. I mean, we do know a lot of cases, we're not going to name names or something, but where PR people will get bonuses based on the review scores that games get.
Sure. I think that's pretty prevalent.
And we've brought that up before. Yeah, it's pretty prevalent. But it's disturbing to us because the assumption there is that successful PR is creating,
Right.
or if not creating, is heavily influencing review scores.
Right.
And I mean, if you just
That's
stop
gross.
and think about that, you're like,
it's unreal.
right.
to
And a
think that
consumer,
that's-
a consumer you'd think would be interested in that. Because ultimately, if they're looking at review indexes to help them make buying decisions, and And the assumption is that these that these review indexes are largely like created based on how well a public relations person is performing. Then I think that starts to become interesting in that line. But we'll see. Who knows? I mean, I'm just kind of thinking out loud. There's a little window into
the future
and how things work.
Yeah, it's weird. The game companies. I mean, my experience is that like the actual people like making the games, the developers and the creative people are like, actually many of them the audience for our magazine, right?
In many cases, we know they're
gamers. They read the magazine and they understand what we're doing. It's like the people above them, kind of like the people above us, who, not that I don't love all my bosses and employers, and I'm so very grateful to be employed here still.
Right, but they employ you because you're a specialist and you've got,
Right, they don't necessarily know exactly what's going on and what we do or understand it or understand any kind of difference between any kind of church and state division,
it's the business versus the art.
Right.
When it comes down to it.
Right. I mean, what I'm beating around the bushes is that I think a lot of game companies on one side of the business don't really see our magazine as anything else than a catalog for them to sell their games.
Exactly. Not only that, and just flat out a space for a much more cost-effective version of advertising. I mean, there are two forms of advertisements in our book, and this is in their mind.
Yes.
Obviously, this is not the case, and it's my job to make sure this isn't the actual case. But I think in their mind, they have those that they speak to our marketing department and pay for a page, and then they have the superior one in that it costs them only as much as it costs to have a press junket or fly someone someplace to talk to one of us, and to put the screens together. And then that one is an even better version because. Not only because of the cost effectiveness, but it has the editorial stamp on it, so people are going to let their guard down in ways that they're not going to when they look at something that's marked as an advertisement.
Right.
And this is across the board. I mean, like what you do is you hold an event, and not only that, you're not only getting a GFW ad, so to speak, in their mind again. So I'm not accusing anyone. I'm talking. This is in the mind of this of someone who just doesn't really care about the content of the edit, in so much as what they're achieving. And then they get a billion. They get it across like 60 online sites and 20 magazines, and if you do the math, what it would cost to get that many pages of straight advertising. It's probably a lot cheaper to host a big, extravagant thing with the shrimp cocktail table.
I've heard PR people say like, "Well, we don't have a real big marketing budget on this one, so we're doing a lot of PR."
Right. Because if they can get a magazine cover, what is the magazine cover other than like a big ad for them?
Right.
Unless we were to put a cover line that was, whatever, Quake 10, worst game ever. Unless we put a cover line like that.
And that is
which
kind
we're
of
not
hard
going to do.
In some cases, it's like hard to knock, because it is mutually beneficial. Like our next cover story,
yes,
which
of course it is.
I alluded to earlier, is something that all of our readers are definitely interested in. They want to know about it. And even to the extent that they want to see what it looks like, they want to know everything that's in it, and we too, we think it's great. It's on our cover because we like what.
Yes.
This is a case of it having a pedigree and having a precedent, and we're familiar with the precedent, and we absolutely love it. So we're like, hey, this is cool, and it doesn't necessarily have to. I mean, they're not. We're still writing our story. We're asking our own questions. I'm saying like, hey, this is an aspect of the story that's interesting to me. Perhaps someone else is not going to necessarily be any better or worse, but they're going to be more interested in other aspects of this game, or the circumstances surrounding its creation.
It's a win-win.
So, but yeah, it's the win-win situation. I mean, we're basically explaining the alphabet here in the sense that this is why the enthusiast press has always been around.
Right, but this bullshit we're going with this one company who I can't mention their name. But don't raise your eyebrows at me. It's cool if we don't mention names. But we have the situation where we have this one very big game company who is saying on their marketing sales side that they don't believe in games for Windows, either the Microsoft initiative or this magazine, and so therefore maybe they think they don't really need to advertise in our magazine because they think it's kind of a stupid idea. And this is people who used to advertise more in CGW. However, they're okay with getting the editorial coverage. On the PR side, they're still very much hitting us hard.
But that's how it should be, though. I mean, that means that church and state are separate. That means because the PR people aren't they're the people that buy ads.
Right.
So that means, I mean, technically that's fine. That's how it should be. But it is there though to say.
Well, it's kind of weird to me because it's sort of like I mean, you're right. There should be that church and state thing, but to me, it's also saying, like, we don't believe in you unless we can get the free articles
right
from your editorial.
Yeah, in the cynical side of what, that's there.
I mean, if you really don't believe in us, then, go away and take your PR people with you. If our magazine,
but at the same time, you don't want to like blend church and state where we're talking to the people that sell ads for us, which we want absolutely nothing to do with as editors, because we don't want to get to the point where someone can say, hey, well, they don't cover such and such product because that company doesn't advertise with them.
Right. Well,
which is why I don't really give a shit about what
this company,
ads are in
this company who's
I
having
wish we
a
had
problem.
non-endemics. That's our solution. We need Taco Bell and Nike and these other ads where there is no church and state.
Well, yeah.
Right. I mean, we ideally, in a perfect world, we would have like...
And you know how many problems that would fix? Because it would also fix the problem of reader perception of, well, they can't ever say anything mean because of their advertisers.
Right.
Because if our advertisers were Coke and Fritos,
who cares?
And whatever,
Right, it wouldn't make a difference.
It wouldn't make a difference.
It gave me indigestion when I was playing Warcraft.
But hey, Gillette, I shave occasionally.
Right.
I'm on board.
And we don't give a shit either way. I mean, I don't really care at all who advertises. I mean, I want more ads, so then we have more edit
pages. Yeah.
Right.
That's the hard part for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that worth explaining? Do people understand that?
I was about to say that is a good time to bring that up, because a lot of people will say, hey, there's a lot of ads in there. That means less editorial pages. But it's actually quite the opposite.
Why don't you guys print less ads and then put more in for articles? Yeah, it totally doesn't work that way. Not only on this magazine, but any magazine in existence. The ad pages pay.
I think our readers get that.
Pages. Do you think?
I think it's like the younger readers, like at EGM, because that's a constant issue there. Like if you look on their forums and in their letters box, like month in, month out. Why is it so small? And it's always like that. I think
Okay.
That's right. So we do. I'm thankful when we do. We just said that we don't get letters and stuff, but we do. But we get them, and I think we've got we've got a pretty cool set of readers. I love you guys because I don't know, they just seem older, more mature, like less. I don't know, less of just the. I mean, we do get the craziness, and actually, later on, I'm going to read something for for Ryan. The Heroes of the Web comes back in the form of actually one of them that maybe doesn't get it or doesn't have it all there.
Specific for Ryan.
Yeah. But, maybe we could just move into that now, unless you guys want to break down the.
No, I'm okay with that. We free associated like 3 different ways there.
We did,
and ended up where we are now.
And I still didn't say what that next cover story is, which I promised. Was it cool? I'm going to say what it is. No,
I don't know.
Okay, now you're backing down. We go to lunch today, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna come out with this thing, and you're like,
well,
that sounds good. Now you're like,
go ahead. Fine.
Well, if you have any reservations about it, it's gonna get us.
I don't know.
Well, forget it.
I'm not trying to be like coy with people listening. Oh, we're not telling you.
I know that's totally not. I just want to say because I mean, people like this is a game that a lot of people like. I like.
I just don't want I don't want every other magazine out there to go. We got 6 weeks. We could catch them. Let's get that story.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's not going to happen. But if you're sweating it, then we won't do it. We just did a big tease. Maybe at the end of the episode, hang in there, and we might come out with it.
Might tease something.
Yeah. So okay, just jumping in now. I'm not going to overdo Heroes of the Web this week, but we got one hero of the web.
One hero.
Got a hero, and this hero.
Want to explain what the Heroes of the Web are for people who did not listen?
Oh yeah, good idea. That makes sense. Heroes of the Web are, as the title says, heroes of the web. And having said that,
thanks, Sean.
They're champions.
I know why you're a writer.
Champions of this interactive world. So they basically are people that we want to acknowledge for outstanding contributions to the World Wide Web in the form of message board posts and stuff, or letters. Sometimes they'll go into our letters box. But these guys,
because the thing is, life is hard. We all work hard. We play hard. And at the end of the day, when we're sitting in our computers lonely at night in our room, and we come across these messages and they make us laugh.
Yeah. So
that makes them heroes.
For going above and beyond the Call of Duty. Yeah. I mean, most people can get on the, they post and you're like, okay, that was cool. And you think about it. But there's some once in a while.
Every once in a while.
And they remind you why you pay for the broadband every month. They sure as hell ain't the mini episodes of Battlestar Galactica and Lost and whatever. It's these here heroes.
Yeah.
They've saved No Metropolis.
I as an aside, those extra scene things online, they can go away.
Yeah.
The Lost and Battlestar things. They're such a waste. They're just like it's like cutting room floor shit.
Yeah, but you guys do that with your magazine every month. I buy the magazine because I want to read a magazine, and there's all these little blurbs that say go online to read more about it.
Yeah, true. That's just the trash we couldn't print.
Just kidding. The reason why the reason why we're editors.
I just saw that shit online.
That's not the case, actually. And I did mention we have to see if this works. I'm determined to make it work. But I was talking about the love-hate story, and it's going to have a life beyond the magazine online. We hope. And Warren Spector's agreed to go in and start things. And so everyone else who reads it and who wasn't able to contribute either because they didn't have time or because the PR people acted as barriers in the way I said that they usually don't. I mean, it definitely happened. There was some I don't know.
Well, what people were saying,
they were saying it's not the word, but there was some deflection going on where it's just, it wasn't a preview. So no, we're not going to like put you through to so-and-so. It's not in our interest to have them talk about what they love and hate about being a game maker as much as it is to talk about why they love making, I don't know. I'm not gonna pick on any game, but some random ass game.
Okay.
Scorpion Slayer
2. Yeah.
Adventure Quest.
So since it wasn't a preview of Scorpion Slayer 2, they weren't allowed to contribute.
Right. They had to manage their time.
So if all goes well, though, they will be able to go online and just this dialogue will emerge from it, and we'll get to see what's really on people's minds.
Cool.
And right now, what's on Ryan's minds is this Hero of the Month. It's not even a Hero of the Month, dude. It's a Hero of the Web. Okay. Let me gear up and find the right voice for him. I think this guy's a whiskey nerd.
Oh, yay, whiskey nerd.
That was the most pathetic podcast I've ever heard, referring to Ryan.
Oh.
His comments about Guild Wars is laughable. Guild Wars is very complex, and it is very possible to beat the encounter that he speak of with the right set of skills and strategy. He is just a clueless noob who should go back to play bread and butter RPGs like Hello Kitty Online and World of Warcraft.
Ouch.
I am too good to take note of what nerds and podcasts thinks of game. I see myself as a masterful, hardcore gamer who has more knowledge than most, and I'm one of the few who are able to grasp the depth of Guild Wars.
He's one of the few? I'm sorry.
I would not expect lesser people to be able to understand, though. I've clocked in over 8,000 hours into Guild Wars now, and I still have not tried more than 5 to 10% of the currently existing skill-based combinations.
8,000 hours?
So you read that right.
Wow.
And the first thing, actually, I interacted a little bit with this hero, and the first thing was to call into question the authenticity of that claim, or the veracity of that claim, rather. And he, sure enough, took a screen cap of his character state, and he had more than 8,000 hours on there, which means we did the math, and there being like somewhere roughly around 2,600 hours in a year, in 24-hour days. He came close to playing 365 days without sleep, or since the time the game has been released, he's played about 12 hours a day. And if that's not a poop sucker, I can't tell you what is.
Wow.
He's bragging.
So, but he has a point.
What, the Ryan doesn't know
Ryan's
what he's
a
doing?
wuss. And actually,
Ryan's a noob.
To be fair, Ryan's
Clueless
a noob, because I pointed out that Ryan, I guessed Ryan to have around 800 hours of time invested in that game. I'm using that term very facetiously.
Yeah. Which return have you got?
No return. And that's when, and I'm like, okay, how do you argue with that, right? How do you argue with 800 hours? 8,000 hours is how you argue with it.
Okay, so to back up, so Ryan, you we're gonna let you chime in here.
Yeah, this is all you know.
Rather than just talking about
this is all you be.
But you wrote this post. We talked about it last week.
Right.
You wrote about what did you call the post?
Guild Wars can die and go to hell, which you can read on my blog if you haven't already.
And Ryan, very hardcore Guild Wars player who was experiencing...
Apparently not. Hold on.
Right, not anymore. Experiencing some letdown with the game after his 800 hours. And so he wrote that blog, and you've been kind of getting a lot of heat on message boards about it.
Well, this guy here, this is from a thread from the Gaming Age forums, and it's one of several.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's by far the worst in terms of time played. His
or
eight-
best.
The worst,
Well,
yeah, the best.
The best. He uses the champion.
Leave you the Orwellian.
Right.
He
shit out of it.
understands.
Let's
what
be
is it?
straight up about
He's
this.
one of the few who understands, Ryan.
Right, so he's got 8,000 hours clocked. So me, with my mere 661 hours,
a lesser being.
I clearly do not know anything about this game.
Noob.
Right, so since I made that post on my blog, there have been huge threads on like GWOnline.net and Guild Wars Guru, a couple of the bigger fan sites, of a lot of people ragging on me just like this guy, but a surprising amount of people who have kind of agreed with the points I made in my blog post.
Because you weren't like saying the game is shit.
Well, no, I'm not like saying the whole game sucks.
Right, you said a section of the end game
Right,
is
like
really stupid.
Just some of the logic in the end game, just pile a bunch of mobs together, give them the standard reward that we got, back at the beginning of the game.
I think you were just mad
So
at that
it's-
part of the mission at that point in time, right?
Mhm.
I mean,
Well,
in the same way I took RC Pro-Am back in the Nintendo, it prompted me to grab my controller cord and then take and beat the living shit out of the controller for a while on the coffee table. But then, like, after I was done, I picked it back up and played,
Right.
played
back
more.
to RC Pro-Am.
Because you actually since then you've gone back to Guild Wars, haven't you?
I have. The only time I've logged in since I made this blog post was to check my time played.
To delete all of his characters.
No. But all this stuff that I wrote about, like I actually I heard from ArenaNet by way of their PR director that I guess they were upset about what I'd written about.
Well, you told their game to die and go to hell.
Well, but the funny thing is he according to him, I have not spoken with the developers of Guild Wars yet.
Because they're like on a plane coming down here to kill you.
Right. But they took it as some sort of like personal attack.
Well, again, you told their game to die and go to hell.
Well,
That's
yeah.
a little personal.
After you name checked the game for like years now, you've been
Right. Yeah,
Captain-
I've been nothing
Captain
good
Guild
to
Wars.
Guild Wars.
You have been Captain Guild Wars. Yeah.
And so
Captain.
if you go back and reread my blog post, like my issues with the game are exactly what I stated my issues with the game are.
And your issues are from the perspective of a pretty hardcore fan.
Hold on, 660 hours.
Okay, not as hardcore as...
But yeah, okay, so dude, you got 660 hours of enjoyment out of it, and like if you could name something else in fucking this world that you could pay $50 and get that much entertainment out of, then that's a pretty glowing recommendation right there.
Right.
Just know that at one point you're gonna get mad and say screw it all.
Right.
What
How many
happens?
hours has there been of Lost already? And everybody already hates that show.
Right.
How many has it been total? Not nearly 660.
I would estimate about
50 or so, yeah.
52
still a believer.
hours.
Holding on to some shred of hope.
Right.
It's getting better though.
Lost?
It's getting
I'm
better
not
again.
turning this into
Yeah,
a
you're
lost
wrong.
discussion. That would be hot though. We
It's gonna
should
be a
make
Battlestar discussion.
Yeah, we could have we need to make a random ass podcast where we just talk about whatever comes to mind.
Don't we do this?
Because actually, I did something.
That is
I had
what we
something. I made myself like one. Well, first, Ryan, let me let you talk, man. People say we need to let you talk.
Yeah, we talk over you too much.
Yeah.
Don't we, Ryan?
Huh?
Then they say we shouldn't put Ryan on the spot. Ryan, we don't want to put you on the spot. I'm not.
Do we
putting
put you on the spot, Ryan?
No.
Sean.
So to everybody who doesn't understand my points about Guild Wars, go back and reread my blog post without the psychophant lenses on.
Well, the best part you showed me email. Someone actually said that you were basically going to kill Guild Wars now because of this. That all these people are going to
I read this. I think on
quit playing and they're
on
going to.
GW Online. Like this guy was like, God, I just get so scared when the press writes this stuff about this game. I think that it's going to shut down, and the community will shut down, and then I don't know what I'll do. Like
That's giving you a lot of power there, Ryan.
That makes you a hero of the web.
yeah.
Ryan Scott can shut down games.
Yeah.
with
And there
one
was
blog.
another guy who said that things like what I wrote make him want to kill himself because he
What?
loves Guild Wars so much.
Oh, well,
That's
just
another.
sad.
That's another issue.
You know,
That's a champion of the
That-
web right
that's
there.
fair.
Why don't you,
There's
why don't
another
you
one.
forward me that, dude?
That's therapy time.
I would have read a few more if they were
Please
that good.
log off and see a consultant.
Yeah.
Not a consultant, a counselor.
The consultant. That works too.
Yeah.
So, well,
You're tying your
Hire
shoes.
yourself a consultant.
so apparently, I guess the guys at ArenaNet want to talk to me about the stuff I posted, and maybe I'll talk to them and then let you know what they say.
All right.
That would be good.
Let
Get back
you hear
to
their
us
side
with
of the story.
We have a part 2.
What if it's all rad and they're like, you know what, Ryan? We just want to talk to you because we're actually about to patch that and make those dudes a little less obnoxious.
They're going to change the realm of torment to realm
Or
of
they
happiness.
point out, I'm going to be mad. Just like I said, all it takes is you had to grind some unicorn horn and sprinkle it on your sword, and it would kill the whole mob in half a second.
No, you see, the thing
That's
is,
what it's gonna be, dude.
Another thing that people has been a common counter argument of people who don't understand my blog post has been that once you get to this area of the game, you have to change up your tactics to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm no dummy. Yes, I have been doing that. That's how I was able to get as far as I have in this area.
Mm-hmm.
But
You brute forced your way there.
I don't know. Especially online games change all the time. I mean, WoW is constantly patching and nerfing and counter-nerfing things. I mean, in response to player complaints. I mean, I don't feel like what you did in this blog post was any different than any random
That's the
WoW
thing.
fanatics.
Ryan
complaints.
is not supposed to be a random WoW fanatic. He's supposed to be a professional, and that's why we pay him.
Yeah, but we don't pay him that much.
All right.
So. Okay, so we're going to take a break and be back with more nonsense.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. But as long as you're here, let me tell you about EGM Live, the weekly podcast from the editors of Electronic Gaming Monthly, along with the wonderful sounds of... EGM Live comes action-packed with special guests, late-breaking news, fanboy-baiting commentary, behind-the-scenes tales of office tomfoolery, and trivia contests with fantabulous prizes. Download it now at egmlive.oneup.com or subscribe to it through iTunes.
EGM Live is part of the OneUp Radio Network, taped in the Ziff Davis offices in San Francisco. It is not actually live, and contest prizes are not guaranteed to be fantabulous.
And we're back.
I did say that we didn't want to talk about Lost and take this down, arbitrary, random digression road.
Yeah,
But I had one before we got into this thing. I told myself I was gonna find a way to bring it up because everyone's gonna be able to relate to it, even if they didn't tune into this podcast to hear what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Everyone out there knows this magic, and it's
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know what this is.
Okay, so here's the connection right here. Here's the segue. We're talking about this being the pledge drive and selling magazines and everything. So I just remembered, back when you're in junior high, how they always have these things where they get the kids on some kind of drive to sell something. In my case, it was magazine subscriptions,
Right?
Candy bars.
Candy bars, yeah, overpriced stuff. And I just thought of that. I want to talk about that real quick because my mine was so good that they actually had. I mean, it was like a damn like a TV game show or something in junior high. They come on and they've got big windsurfer, wind sailboards up on the stage and skateboarders and a ramp and a dude doing tricks and this robot and. Just buckets of candy, and they're telling all these kids to come up, yeah, come on up, and they don't even tell us what's going on. We go out to the.
Did you say a robot?
I'm getting there. I'm going to talk
are
about
you
this
talking
robot.
about?
Okay, so let me get in. This is going to be hot. So we're all there, and we don't even know what the hell's going on. And this dude's up on stage, hey, you, come on up. And then so one of us goes up stage, and he just gives him a bucket, and it's got gummy rats, gummy sharks, and we're out there just holy shit. This kid's getting set. Tootsie Roll that was as big as a baby's arm. So, they're all this stuff. And in the background, then there's the video screen, and it's got dudes surfing. And, I'm talking 80s here. So this was hot
rad.
shit, yeah. Dudes on BMX.
Sounds
And
tubular.
it was just it was just the place to be. And then they're you get all these stuff, all these prizes, and you go out and sell these magazine subscriptions. But I'm thinking back on it now, and for the one kid that is listening, I'll say, don't do this, man. They're taking advantage of you. They basically turned the entire junior high into a child labor camp, payable and shitty candy. And then, okay, here's the rad part. There's a punchline, Ryan. So quick, give me that look. When we do this, we go for whatever, a month. It seems like an eternity to me. It seems like a year. We go and sell these shitty magazines, sell them to your grandma, your guilt trip, your aunt.
Sure, they're forced to buy them because they're related.
Right.
And then you come back, and they had this thing where you get. I messed up the whole story. You get this ticket and you stick it in the robot. That's what the robot's for. And,
Okay.
And when we were there for the original assembly, they're sticking these things in the robot, and the dude's like, "It's not funny. You win money. Your prize today, $100." And we're like, $100? You know, kids at that age.
That's a lot.
Oh, yeah, that's
That
a lot
was
of
some
money.
like serious cheddar. So we
How many
were
hours
all
did you work on
excited.
this?
That's a lot now. I'd take
And
it.
then, so then we do it, and then like the first kid goes up, and they line us all up to this damn robot with the little punch cards, and he's like, "You are cool. You helped your school. Your prize today, $1." And we're like, whatever, you know, like it's got to be someone, and like it's not me, whatever. And it keeps going. It's like $1, $2, like once every like 6 or 7, $2, and that was it. Like I swear, there was nothing higher, no denomination higher than $2. And then it was like a grand prize. And this dude, I'm sorry, man. I turned this podcast.
You got to finish now, man.
Keep going. This dude gets these, you know, these skateboard pads. And like I was a skater at the time, and all of us in the skater clique were just like, mob this kid's table, you know, like, "What did you get, man? What did you get? Oh, we'll buy those off you, Rectors. What'd you get?" And then like my friend Alvin looks, and he holds it up, this like nerdy kid's pads. And he's like, "Dude, these are Kmart." And then everyone just like dispersed away from the table. Like the kid got all excited, like he thought he had something that was rad and people cared about it. But he was some Kmart pads. But anyway, that's the end of that story.
Wow.
I don't know how I'm going to write this up in the podcast description for this week.
It was
Like
a good one.
Sean's own version of the wall.
Because
or
now
something.
the thing I'm hoping it could backfire. I see a million people saying like, "What the hell? I subscribe to your free podcast and I expect certain things for free, and it sure as hell isn't people talking about pledge drives in junior high."
Talk about PC games.
So, or it's going to be like a million kids saying like, "You know, they're doing that now, or they just did that last year, but they told me I was going to get like, you know, a new Mustang or something."
Yeah, you know, my daughter, she goes to a middle school now, and she had to do this recently. We didn't do this at my school.
This is
But
all
at
new
her
to me.
school-
The robots? What
Yeah,
the fuck?
at her school, they got this like catalog of shit. to
Weebles,
sell.
that's something else too. Weebles. Anyway.
And Weebles.
Yeah, they give
wobble.
Out, they give them out. No, they give them out.
They don't fall down.
Yeah.
Like Darth Vader Weeble or something.
So my daughter, they pass out this like it's like a catalog, and you can pick, you know, my grandma or whoever can pick from a catalog, and it's like the most random crap.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, on one page there's wrapping paper, on the next page it's like chocolate, you know,
Yeah.
chocolate teddy bears or whatever.
What's like
It's the
It's the
Sky
stuff
Mall
you're,
from the
I'm
the
like,
Planet Guilt.
Yeah, I feel like exactly. I like
Oh, yeah,
to call
it's
it, like, please order something for my kid, and
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
That's
it's
some
the three free
sinister.
gifts you can get for getting a credit card. It's like, oh, look, it's a clock, it's a calculator, that it's also a
Yeah.
shoe. Right.
So we were tricking you. This is about GFW,
Right.
And the thing is when you subscribe to us,
You won't have
you're
to
not-
read
yeah,
articles
you don't-
about this.
You don't have to buy it from kids. You don't have to read articles about this.
This is
And you get a magazine in return.
That's what editing gets you. That article will not have made it into print.
Right.
That's another
It
thing.
may not make it onto the podcast if we edit this out.
The podcast is fun because it's so like night and day to the book. You know, I mean, someone pointed that out. We've got the pretty serious, like, you know, and everything we just described about what our mission statement is with the actual print magazine, what we want to do, and then we come on here. I mean, I take the blame largely, but talk about junior high sales drives and shit.
It's all this candy you eat before
Gummy
we go
bears
on
and
the
stuff,
air.
bears.
Get
yeah.
all like sugar high.
So now
I'm a little kid now.
now is probably not the time to or is it the time to talk about the rad World War II previews?
You know what? Let's come back to that.
Okay, cool.
So I wanted to
Let's
do a
digress.
quick round of, because we haven't done it in a little while, and I think we do have a little bit just to ground it back in PC gaming. A little bit of what are you playing? Okay, just because we have been playing different things.
That's true.
And sort of as a reward for people for putting up with Sean's junior high story there.
Talk about some PC games.
I'm sorry.
I had to get that thing off my chest.
That's been there for a while, huh?
I got more to get
Ready to
off
do
my
it
There for
chest.
20 years.
It's like an alien chest burster.
Yeah, came out.
Do you feel better now?
I feel cleansed. I feel like a new me. I feel like the L. Ron Hubbard of Guild Wars looking down on all you, like, sorry 800-hour noobs.
Lesser beings.
Yeah.
Wow. Are you going to start a religion now?
I already did.
He just did.
Involves the robot.
I'll
So
pay to
what have
join.
you been playing? I mean, all you guys have been playing something new, right? I mean,
Yeah, I've been playing.
Silverfall, I heard.
Mr. Malloy?
I've been playing Galactic Civilizations 2, Dark Avatar, the expansion pack to one of our games of the year.
And so far?
It's good. I love that game.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just sucked me back into it. It's kind of I haven't gotten far enough in a single game to really dig into what's coming later. But right now, it's already apparent that they've fixed some of the stuff I didn't really care for before. That it worked fine, but now that it's fixed, you're like, oh well, yeah, that would have been the perfect way to do it the first time. So there's
is it a whole new campaign as well?
Yeah, there's a whole new campaign. You play the Drengen, which were kind of like the ones who wanted to enslave the galaxy in the last one.
I smell prosthetic makeup for the Drengen.
They look like monkeys.
Yeah,
they have
they got some latex rubber tape to their face.
Well, they would in the movie version, yes.
Yeah.
Are they actually simians? Are they monkeys?
No, they just have a monkey-like appearance.
Would they object to that description themselves?
They would object to any description. They're that badass. I don't know.
Sounds like the Geico car insurance spokesperson.
It doesn't matter what they look like. There is a new campaign with these monkey people. And so you're kind of playing the bad guys from the last I guess the first game or the second game because it was GalCiv II. And but you're fighting against like this clan that's even worse than the bad guys. So I'm not too far in the campaign yet. I keep starting new like skirmish games over and over again.
The idea of an expansion of this game seems overwhelming to me since the original GalCiv II seems so huge. I mean, the little I played of it. In fact, I admit that's why I stopped because I got overwhelmed.
Really?
What
overwhelmed you? Just the sheer
all the buttons and menus and things.
Really?
You're scaring me because I
like games like WoW that play themselves. Attack! Editing, I'll eat a sandwich.
Editing our writers and Sean's as well. Stories of on sins of the Solar Empire, also published by Stardog. Space strategy game. It's got me. I want to jump in. I was kind of planning on jumping in at that point, and I was wondering if maybe I should do it with GalCiv. But I mean, that's not too reassuring when you're telling me. I don't know. I could deal with a lot of buttons. I mean, what do you talk? Is it spreadsheet? As long as it doesn't boil down to a spreadsheet.
I'm kind of kidding. I mean, it's just a very it's a hardcore strategy game.
Right. It is turn based. So
it's turn based. Yeah.
I don't know if you're into that. You like the action, but I guess any turn based game comes down to spreadsheets on some level.
I like all kinds of stuff. I mean, the turn based, the last turn based stuff too. I do have to admit, I played was all the the GameCube Advance Wars stuff.
I mean,
those are baby games.
They are baby games.
I mean, are you into Civilization in any way, shape, or form?
That's another one I need to get into.
See.
Dude.
It's kind of like Civ.
I know, man. I've got no excuse. It would have been a good weekend, too, if I wasn't writing that cover story that I'm about to tell you about all weekend. To get in and try Civ, which I have loaded up through Steam, ready to play. And
really? I didn't know Civ was on Steam.
Are you kidding me? It's been on there for like a year. That's part of the thing when we gave Steam part of our Trend of the Year award.
Oh, we said it's because Civ was on? I really should probably read our magazine more often.
Maybe you should. So sorry, back to Dark Avatar.
Avatar? What was I saying?
Sorry, you're reviewing it for this issue. Huh?
I am reviewing it for this issue. So.
And it's looking good so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sucked back into it in the same way I was when I first started playing it. And it's wonderful because it runs on my laptop really well, so I can play it on the bus in and back from work.
It's still sitting on my hard drive.
I feel a little weird playing it because it's so geeky looking, like sitting it next to the people on Muni.
Yeah, I have a problem with that with all games on my laptop when I'm on the plane. Every once in a while, I'll be on a plane and I'll see a guy playing like Civilization or Age of Empires, and I was like, right on, that's cool. That's so great you're doing that. Because I would never do that. And I do this
I kind of like that about reading.
I got my Warcraft hat on playing this.
I was like that about reading video game magazines sometime. And then I got to a point where I'm like, dude, this is what I do for a living. How am I going to be ashamed of that shit on the trade? But comic books, I still don't. I still can't bring it into. If it's a trade paperback, maybe. Can't read a comic book on the BART. It's just a regional trade.
I got
no problem with that.
With what? Reading comic books?
Yeah.
That
never really. Although one time I was reading The Walking Dead, and like some guy got into a really, really scary conversation with me about it. He's like, "Oh, you like comic books?" Like,
oh, nice. Oh, is it like do you want candy, little boy, sort of thing?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Ew.
Kind of gross. It happens.
I got traumatized one time when I was. I used to not be self-conscious about gaming or comics or whatever in public. So I had to self-righteous. This is what I do, and if you can't handle it, you're not mature. But I was I was in Berkeley, standing outside on Shattuck Avenue, waiting for my wife and kid to show up. The three of us were going to the movies. And I was standing out on the sidewalk, and I was playing my Game Boy, and I was actually playing Pokemon. I admit, and I'm sure I was probably, this wasn't that long ago, so I was probably, late 30s, early 40s, playing Pokemon on the sidewalk. I'm standing there, and this mom walks by with her kid. And this boy, he's got to be, he's like no older than 6 or 7, and he's holding his mom's hand. And the two of them walk by, and as they're walking by, the kid, is doing, a double take. He's, slowly turning around.
Yeah.
And he stops, and he, breaks away from his mom, and he walks over to me, and he goes, "Are you a kid?"
Really?
Yeah.
No shit. That's rad. I thought you were gonna say he broke out a link cable.
No, but
challenged you to a battle.
I said no. I'm an adult, and as I'm saying that, the mom sweeps this kid up like I'm
Just big man,
potential
baby.
molester on the sidewalk.
Oh, you're gonna pick their
Come
chat with
along.
his son.
Yeah.
That's because I've
no, it's my job. Don't look at me like
I've
that.
had that on the train with magazines. I'd been I remember I'd been reading the EGM or something, and there'd be a mom and her kid, and the kid just keeps looking over, and then the mom would be like, he sees that. And I'm like, God, I wish he hadn't. I just give it to him,
Didn't I tell you guys about the time when I ran into the guy reading our magazine at the Seattle airport?
Oh yeah, he didn't give a crap.
He absolutely didn't.
I write that.
Yeah, this guy was
Wait, you went up and told him?
Yeah, he was
That's
probably
so sad,
probably in his mid-20s.
So douchey, dude.
I know. I didn't realize how douchey it was until after it happened, and then I felt like the biggest loser. He was just sitting there waiting for his flight, and he's reading our magazine, and I walked by, and I saw it, and I walked by him twice, and I'm like, this is so cool. And so I thought maybe he would think it was cool if he, met me or someone from our magazine. It's like,
why would you think that though? What would make you think that? You were thinking maybe it was cool if this dude would be like, "Hey man, you're the coolest dude
I didn't want
ever."
him to want my autograph.
You did, or you wouldn't have told him. You wouldn't have told him.
I'll sign that magazine if you like. I said so. I write for that magazine, and he looked at me like, why the hell should I give a shit? And then anyway, I'm leaving now.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed
I think you
mag.
told the story on the podcast.
Did I already?
You did, and I told the
Shit.
story about Poison, didn't I? About my friend running into the band Poison in a LA 7-Eleven.
Yes, right after.
You did?
Right
told the
afterwards.
story.
So let's
we're just
finish
reliving
this
our glory days of
deja vu time warp.
So wait a minute. If you ran into never mind. Forget it.
Here's the story.
Let's
take it back for true deja vu. So he goes into 7-Eleven and he sees Poison, at least 3 members of the band Poison, and goes, "Holy shit, you guys are Poison, aren't you?" And, the main guy goes, "Yeah, do you want her autograph?" He goes "Hell no!" So he runs away. So there you have it. There's an
the
equivalent of yours, yeah. And now we're experiencing
you're
some
the same
serious.
Well, that actually
Load the bong again, man. Let's start this one over. Let's start this one over.
That is kind of what this podcast is like. Which are actually, because I was going to tell the story, and now I'm going to, of the time when I was in a music store with this buddy of mine. We were in junior high, and he was a Kiss fan. In fact, not only was he a Kiss fan, he was in the Kiss Army. So back then, you had to mail away for it.
Turned out his mom did Gene Simmons.
No,
is that where this is going?
No. It's going back to, and I hated Kiss. So he and I were always arguing about what bands were cool, and he thought Kiss was cool. So we walked into this record store because he was waiting for their new album Love Gun to come out. And we walked into the store.
Sounds like a great Ratchet and Clank game.
Love Gun.
Yeah.
So we walk.
Everyone goes, "How do you get it? You're so clever with your game name."
So we walk into the store, and he goes up to the clerk and he says, "Hey, I just wanted to know when Love Gun is coming out." And the clerk's answer is, "Who gives a fuck?"
That's rad.
Okay, that's
That's
good.
rad.
I like
Okay.
that one.
All right.
That's
Does
good.
anyone remember what we were talking
now
about?
playing,
No.
Jeff. Now I remember because I'm the one who abstained from the big giant 6-foot bong back there. And Jeff, you're going to talk about how you're playing Silverfall now.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to play Silverfall. I feel a little bad about it. This was a game I was assigned to review, and it's an action RPG along the lines of Diablo and Titan Quest. I just reviewed the Titan Quest expansion and the new issue. I gave it a glowing 9 out of 10 stars. So I'm all
Stars.
There's no stars.
Whatever. 9 out of 10 numerals.
There's still stars. Right. Dude, honestly, when was the last time you looked at your magazine, dude?
What are we called?
It wasn't a 6-foot bog. It was an 8-foot bog.
I mean, listen, I gave games stars for 8 years.
I know.
Yeah.
Cut me some slack. So I'm okay with the action RPG. I'm okay with a Diablo-esque game, and
You're not okay with Silverfall.
I'm not, but I feel a little bad talking about it now because it feels a little bit like picking on the special ed kid.
It's that. Why? I mean, like
the French special ed kid.
Was it made on? I mean, yeah. Was it made on food stamps or what? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah, it's a bit low rent. You know, it's a Diablo clone that takes up 10 gigs on your hard drive and plays like a game from 1997. So that's my review so far. Actually, the biggest problem I'm having with Silverfall now is that they apparently, this was the developers sort of thought that the idea of corpse runs back from EverQuest 1 were a good idea, and they missed those, and so they added them to their RPG. Do you know what a corpse run is?
Vanguard has them too. So
Vanguard does have corpse runs.
Oh, you have to go back and fetch.
If you die, if you're out in the wherever, and you get killed by monsters,
that sounds hot.
All the stuff that you were carrying is gone until you go back to where you died and you click on your little tombstone to get it back.
Yeah.
The problem with this game is, so it does that, and I'm right at the beginning of this game, so I've looted a few things. I've got enough armor and a weapon to kill the level 2 and 3 mobs. I get a little bit further out. I get killed, and I have nothing to wear to get back to where I started because it's still the beginning of the game.
Do the mobs respawn?
They respawn and they kill me. Like the first time I die, I may have.
So why feel bad for that? You don't need a big budget to know that that's a boneheaded ass thing to put in your game.
Yeah, the great thing is that you're actually almost naked by the second time, like literally, like your character. So like the first time you die, then you're just going to have like the starter apprentice robe or whatever, right? So you still got something in the wooden sword, whatever. So you've still got a little bit of a fighting chance. But if you die the second time, you have got nothing.
So you look like Bo Rat at Ken.
I took a screenshot of this.
Around.
My human character he is running through the wilderness now in a thong and nothing else. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to play that. I don't need to play a naked guy in a thong with no weapon.
You need to
a different
embrace that, man.
That's a different game.
It's not someone else. That's you. That's your own body. It's equivalent of your own body. I don't want you to be ashamed of it.
Well, I don't want to be that guy. I want clothes and a weapon. I'm sorry. Maybe it'll get better.
A corpse run in a single player.
And what is
corpse
that?
run in anything?
See, that's what I'm saying. Why do you have a corpse run in a single player RPG? Maybe the folks who made Silverfall can tell me. But it's not making me want to.
There's some asshole out there that's just like saying how like that's true and like the whole thing, like the same $8,000 cluck who told Ryan he's a noob because
8,000 hours.
You've got to be some kind of like masochist to be a true gamer, you know? Like screw those people.
Well, that's how I felt. That's
and they always they're so right now they're like Ninja Gaiden. They just want to say something.
Well, that's
what
how
value is there?
I put in many hours in this game on Sunday, and after a while, I was like, I don't need this in my life.
Yeah.
You know, I play RPGs all the time. I played every single Might and Magic. I played all the Ultimas. Like, I know how to play these games. I played the Diablos on the action side. I'm not a noob at these games. And this game was so frustrating. It was just like, whose idea is it? Who thinks that making a game so hard that, you know, that you're going to be angry within the first half hour is a good idea?
The next level is going to be more of the same, if I'm right. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, I mean, if it's a hack and slash RPG, once you do get by this part, you're just going to be hacking and slashing some more dudes. Except just the color of their horns are going to change or some shit, right?
Right.
So,
and I'm worn out. I'm in the newbie area. I'm tired.
The reason I make that
tired
point,
of playing it.
The reason I make that point is like, okay, maybe if you had this game with like wildly different levels, where it's like, okay, we could stagger your time on this one just a little bit, and make you do some shit like that, jump through these hoops because. As soon as you do get by this, all of a sudden it's going to be all different. But if you do get by that, you're just going to be looking forward to more Speedo runs over and over and over again. You know, it's just going to be like
maybe if they just called it Speedo Run,
Speedo Fall.
Yeah, and I knew what I was in for.
Drawer drop.
I'll bet you.
Drawer drop.
After people listen to this podcast, after the guys on those Guild Wars forums listen to this podcast, I bet you they'll be posting like, man. these guys really just suck at games. That's going to
Yeah,
be...
because you're going to get a letter that says,
Yeah,
like,
they
I didn't have any
with
trouble
after
with
this.
that first area.
They admitted it. That dude can't even
You're
play
right.
Silverfall and have
He
his
can't
clothes
even
on.
get past the first area.
He
Yeah.
wants us to buy his
Keep his clothes on.
magazine.
Maybe I shouldn't have talked about this. Maybe we have to edit it out.
Why?
Don't worry, we're editing out 20 minutes of it anyway already.
There's going to be nothing left.
Why would you? No, we're
That was
not.
goodbye. I know.
You're taking out my junior high
not
thing, man?
editing a thing.
Don't make
That
me
requires
blog about
work.
that. This just inexplicably appears on the front page of One Up, me talking about junior high
That's it. We're
fundraiser
making that a
drives.
special edition all by itself.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been playing, Silverfall. And I'm
Wow.
not recommending it so far.
Sounds pretty cool.
Okay, then.
Anyone else?
Well, okay, here's more fuel for the
Oh, God.
Guild Wars fire. I
Yes.
have spent most of my time this weekend playing WoW in the battlegrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
It's a lot of fun.
I like WoW.
Yeah, you're liking the battlegrounds.
Yeah.
What do you like about it, Ryan?
It's cool. It's fun. It's great. 10 out of 10.
Okay.
That's my review.
You don't have any professional journalistic insight to add?
What?
What is that?
What's yeah?
So you're doing Warsong
No.
Gulch, right? You said?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's the WoW equivalent of Capture the Flag, basically, for
right.
people unfamiliar with Warsong Gulch.
Mm-hmm.
I got my hunter up to level 29.
Nice.
I got some of my real life friends with me going into Warsong Gulch, and I probably earned about 50 marks of honor, which is what they award you for winning.
Mm-hmm. And you
Or-
can trade
or
that in
losing.
for stuff now.
Loots.
Right? Loots.
You get loots with it.
Right, you get 3 of them for winning if your side wins, and 1 if you lose.
I like the Orwellian naming convention on that. Sorry, marks of honor. Badge of incrimination is what they really are, of course.
No, those are higher level.
Yeah.
You should get on Legendary Thread with us.
You
now
should,
that you're-
Ryan.
now that you're a player.
Maybe I will make a guess.
Legendary Thread being our One Up Network's official World of
Really?
Warcraft podcast.
Mm-hmm.
They need you.
So now I'm working my warlock up to 29.
Wow, you got 2 level
Check
29
in.
characters.
Well, I
Impressive.
have the warlock's at level 25 right now. So
The hours are starting to add up in that game for you.
yeah, pretty soon I'll be an 8,000 hour vet
Mm-hmm.
soon.
Mm-hmm.
Any
All
day
right.
That'd
now.
be great. Thanks.
I'm glad you're still playing.
I know.
Validates
I thought
my own
maybe it was
existence.
just going to be a passing thing for you, but now you're a few weeks into it.
We'll see. I mean, you know what? The funny thing, like when I first started playing, a few weeks ago, it sort of just made me want to play Guild Wars, and that's what I did. I went and, like, okay, I'm going to play Guild Wars,
Mm-hmm.
and then I hit this wall and stopped, and now I'm playing WoW.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're having relationship troubles with one, and then you go and try to meet the new girl, and you're like, "Wow, this is exciting. I can feel this," but you're like, "Oh, but it's not old Sally." And then you go back to old Sally.
I
it
didn't
feels right,
appreciate
and she
her.
bitches at you, and you're like, "Oh, she hasn't changed one bit." Go back out to the other one. That's where you're at right now.
2-timer.
Breaking it down.
Okay.
You know the science.
Sally.
Sean, you got anything you're playing?
Not much because I've been working, but I've been playing the Stalker multiplayer beta. And not really so much to say about that because it's pretty straightforward. Deathmatch, team deathmatch, and single flag CTF, otherwise known as Artifact Hunt, which is like the new trend now.
Do you think
I mean,
that,
the new old ass trend.
Do you think the multiplayer is going to matter a lot in Stalker? Is it going to be more about
You never really know because like Company Heroes multiplayer is incredible. We're talking about Call of Duty 2 multiplayer. It's just so basic. It's just basically the weapons of the game and some like small maps, but it had a huge following. So you never really know, and the maps were just reworked from assets from the single player campaign. So it's like you never know to just dismiss something on those grounds because there are so many first person shooters on PC that basically work that way that it gets to the point where you're willing to play another one just because like the settings are slightly different. So your movement speed, like whether or not you can become fatigued, the way that you swap out your weapons, the way the weapons feel, weapon, accuracy and recoil. And it does have a good feel. I mean, I definitely have fun playing it. One potential problem I see already though, and I don't know how they're going to get around it, is that it's a buy-in structure like Counter-Strike, but rather than team-based, it's individual-based. You earn your own money. You do in Counter-Strike too, but so you earn your own money, like if you're doing it in deathmatch, and that enables you to buy better armor, better weapons, ammo, scopes for them, grenade launchers to sling underneath them, all these other cool things. Health down to health packs and to like radioactive antidotes for when you walk through a radioactive zone. But the problem is that you lose all your money when you start getting killed, and then the people that are good and that are on a spree are getting more and more and more and buying the better weapons. You get to the point where they've got the god armor on, they've got like hands down like just the complete god weapon rifles, and the sniper rifles are insane because you have a crosshair whether you're zoomed or not, and they have like almost no recoil. So anyway, like long story short, I think that's going to be a problem, and I assume they'll patch it.
Well, it sounds to me like the answer there is just don't suck.
Yeah, but the game itself, and that's the part that's easy enough to deal with. At the same time, they're using that to differentiate it from other games. Some of the other cool stuff. I mean, the only other things that are like different about it are that it has like sort of not real time, but it has a dynamic weather changing, time of day change and stuff. So you could start a map at dusk and then it gets night and it's crazy, and then you get your
that's cool
NVG goggles.
You mean
at that
during
point.
the course of the match?
During the course of the match, yeah.
Very nice.
Or it could start wind kicks up and it starts raining, and that stuff feels cool. I mean, it's always doing something different. And the map feels different if it's dark or light. And then there are the same electromagnetic anomalies that are in the single player game where you could walk into one and it creates like a little whirlwind and throws you up into the air.
Has there been a shooter ever that has done a time change during the course of a battle?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, I know when we were looking at when we were first looking at enemy territory Quake Wars, they were making a big deal about the fact that it's so easy for them to change times of days on maps. And I know there have been several where like at Battlefield they'll take and I'm sure in other maps too, they take maps that and change the time of day on them. But you have to load them as a separate map. It doesn't actively do it as you're playing the game. I think it'll be pretty common going ahead. Crisis is definitely that's a big deal in that game. They're talking about setting it up where you're playing just like these full, because you could set the clock to work at however many times fast as real time as you want, where you're going through these long epic cycles and flashlights and headlights come on at night. And you're searching around through the forest and dark, and then the sun comes up. And so I think it's going to be big in shooters.
I think that's a great idea. Kind of
I'm trying to be excited. I'm thinking about, that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. But I'm sitting here, Ryan's just like scratching his head, planning his next
War Sun Gulch run.
his next Sun Gulch run.
Yeah, we all kind of like different games around here.
We do.
I saw a comment on the on I think Gaming Age about how they wished on this podcast that there were more shooter fans who could like call you on shit when you're talking about your shooter stuff rather than us all going like, yeah, Shawn, well, anyway, back to
I didn't see that.
Warcraft.
That's funny, though, yeah. I mean, because, there are plenty of different perspectives on shooters. People can...
I used to play shooters
I think a lot of them
are
just dead wrong at times, though. I mean, I saw some, like, criticism on forums for things I've said recently, like about Shadowrun. And I think it's just either, I could take the blame and say I didn't articulate it well enough, or they just didn't get the point.
I play most single-player shooters. I just don't really play multiplayer that much anymore. I got the whole, reflex, thing going on now with the. Is someone shooting at me?
I don't know though. I haven't gotten any worse at all. Like
no.
I mean, I could pick up a game like
just wait.
Soul Calibur or the shooters I play all the time and get into the groove and. And yeah, feels good. Like I was just playing the other day. I was playing Stalker and Damien comes by and it was like great. It's just like when you're playing and you've got like a reputation to uphold of being good.
Yep.
And like someone comes by and it's just perfect timing. I just was on this crazy streak and anytime someone would appear on my screen, I'd get him with a headshot and then just keep moving. And it's just like this is the right timing when Damien was there, and I was telling him how it makes it so much better for griefing when you're actually capable or competent at the game, because then you can do the whole. Instead of just being the guy that sucks in there starting shit, you could be the guy like, well, my grandma says I shouldn't make fun of people who aren't as good as me because it's not their fault. or like if they get mad, I did another thing where I said like, yeah, I'm playing from school where I live and the teacher gave me hacks to level the playing field. Yeah.
Okay. So
we're moving along. We got a few more items though.
We do?
We do, Shawn.
Oh,
we've got a contest.
The contest
right now. And I'm going to make it with the help of Yakety Yak Blah, who's one of our forum members.
And
this is all his idea. Actually, I said I'd be down for a contest, and here's his excellent idea. It's basically what you're going to do is you're going to go through the subscriptions that you just ordered for GFW. No, you're going to go through our magazine and through the reviews and find reviews of like games that poured fairly.
And if you don't have a copy,
did I say they poured fairly?
You did.
You did. That turds
You
did. So you're going to go through our Wisdom turds and find games that poured fairly.
Poured fairly.
Very poorly.
Okay. So spoonerisms. You're gonna go through and find games that fared poorly, and with those, you're gonna create a composite. You're gonna take. You're not gonna add a single word, but you're gonna just take pieces that exist, and using bracketed ellipses of your own, put together a review, and so it seems absolutely positive, as though
right.
As though it were
so
a great game.
If the review said, if we had said in the review, this is a pretty fucking shitty game, you take out the fucking shitty part. So and then
it's a pretty game.
This is a pretty game.
Yeah,
games for Windows.
But
magazine.
you have to indicate that omission with an ellipses that's in a pair of brackets.
Right.
Okay.
And you can't rearrange.
Can't rearrange the words. No.
It's not like you just take it and it's like you break it down to the alphabet. Well, there's an A here and a B here, and I can put that together with the F.
Really, what this is a lesson in being a marketing person.
Right, and putting
it's like
in
the
box
movie quotes
copy.
you see on